Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Sunniva.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Tycoon India 1981.
This is a new game from Zenwood Games and designed by Siddhant Chand. Coming to Kickstarter tomorrow if you're watching the video while it's the day it's coming out. Or maybe it is today if you're watching it the day after. Or maybe it's already been 2 years if you're watching it 2 years from now.
It plays from 1 to 4 players in 90 to 180 minutes.
You were waiting for doing that actual information part while I was talking about stupid stuff. So yeah, this is a Kickstarter game. Obviously then it is a prototype sent to us from the publisher, the designer, so that we could play it.
Yes.
We have played it a few times and I'm going to talk about the game and what we think about it and if this might be something for you. Yes, that's the thing. Since this is a game that you might not have heard about, we're gonna try to go through the game, talking about the different round phases of the game, talking about the parts of them, talking about what we like. If you've seen our previews lately, you know they're gonna be more like a review. So we're gonna talk about the things we liked, and if there are things we didn't like, we're gonna talk about that as well. It's gonna be more like a review, but without a score at the end, basically.
Yes.
More than to hopefully give you enough information so that you know if this might be for you or not, because there's so many Kickstarter campaigns out there, you cannot back them all, but maybe you want to back this one. Let's talk about it. This game, India, Tycoon, 1981, probably has a really nice theme, but we don't look too much at the theme, so sorry about that. If you want to know more about the theme of the game, watch other channels to talk about that. But basically, I read the rulebook, it had something about the theme, and now I'm blanking.
Yes.
It's something about India. Yes. Oh, I have the rulebook here. Let me read for you. The story so far. Post-independence from colonial rule in 1947, India had been left in shambles. It was the combined efforts of bureaucrats, politicians and industrialists who worked together to start a new industrial revolution following the 5-year plans. It's the dawn of the new era. For liberalization and globalization has removed much of the licensing and red taping that had hindered the development of the industries. In the game Tycoon, players represent big industrial houses of India trying to dominate the 6 industrial sectors. Yes, that's the theme. We're trying to build up India as an industrial power that will gain money and influence and of course victory points in one way or another, because that's what game is all about. So if you were unsure before you're watching this video, maybe we should go watch Board Gaming Ramblings to find out the theme of the game.
Nah, it's wrong place.
Wrong place.
We're into the Euro stuff.
The mechanisms.
Yes.
But before we talk about the mechanisms, we're going to talk a bit about the artwork and the components. Obviously, everything is prototype, so we don't know exactly how it will change, what will not change. But yeah, you did play the game.
Yes.
And you looked at it.
Yeah, I did.
With your pupils.
Uh-huh.
You used them to look at different things about the game board.
Yes.
What did you see with your eyes?
Yeah.
Please tell the world.
Well, you can see it you as well.
Yes, because it's there. This is the game.
Yeah.
There's one more board, which is over there.
It looks really industrial. So
Yes.
the artwork fits the theme in a very nice way.
The theme that you know so much about.
The theme that I know everything about, thanks to you.
Yay.
I don't know how else to describe it. It's pretty clear. It has some spots for cards, it has spots for actions, it has this map that you're going to put buildings or industries out on. It makes sense.
I like the looks of the game, and I also think that it has a very much it has a nice look, but it's also very easy to read, which is important because there's so many symbols, so much stuff in here. It's easy to read, which is always important.
Yeah.
All the different industry cards have different industries, obviously, but they have like a coal mine. There's a picture of a coal mine. It's not like a picture of something else. And the symbols here is also very clear. These are the policy cards, and they don't have a lot of artwork, but they do have, which I like. Even though we are not big on theme, I like it's here because I like that if it feels like this is a game that has quite a lot of theme. So if you like theme, you can, and history. I'm not really into history either, which is a lot of times why I'm not into this kind of themes. Is like history lessons on these cards, like the policies, like this one called the nationalization of banks, and it says like a significant economic policy decision taken by the government of India in 1969, and so on.
Yeah, because everything has happened. These are like things that
real
are
life events.
Yeah.
We think so. We don't know because we don't know the whole history of India.
No, I haven't fact-checked them all.
No. Have you
Sorry,
fact-checked
guys.
any of them?
No, I haven't.
No,
I'm
you
just
haven't.
trusting the designer.
Trusting the designer. That is true. So let's jump into the game. The game has a nice rulebook so far, which is like prototype. Obviously, the player rate. Very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Has both like the end of game scoring on one side, which is kind of intricate, so it's nice to be reminded of what you actually score for at the end, and also all the round phases and all the actions that you can take.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a bit about how the game flows. The game is played over 7 rounds. Each round is going to have 4 phases. Each round is going to start with the first phase, which is called New Region, where the Tycoon player, who is kind of like the starting player, is going to choose one of the 4 regions to activate. And what happens when it gets activated?
Everybody with industries in that region gets this bonus that is area specific. So if I have 3 industries there, I will get the bonus 3 times.
And probably you will choose it yourself and nobody else will choose it for you because they don't want you to get those bonuses. Then you're going to have an event. Most of the time it's going to be a policy event where you blind bid these promoters to get these kind of policy cards, the ones I showed you earlier, to get a choice of these policy cards. And it's a pretty nice kind of blind auction because it's not that bad to lose.
That's true, because you're bidding with these, I don't know, what is it, or what are they called again?
I think they're promoters. That's what
promoters, that's correct. Yes,
promoters,
so you're bidding promoters, and the people that do not win,
the players,
players, thank you, will then put their promoters into their
strategy
supply
pool.
area, which is the only way that you can use them for something else than this auction.
There's other ways to get them here, but it's like one way to get them free.
Yes.
So I like this auction quite a bit because you're kind of trying to bid. Sometimes you might not really want to win, but you want to say like, okay, you're probably gonna, but you have a lot of them, so you're probably gonna bid like 5. And I'm gonna bid 4, so that I get them there. But then I won the auction, and what happens then, which is cool, is that the Tycoon player gets them. If the Tycoon player wins, they have to discard it to the supply. So you kind of like, even though you might have like 15, you don't want to use them all because you need them for other things, and also you don't want to give them to the Tycoon player.
Yeah, I really like that mechanism because it urges you to actually bid and bid high as well.
And not just wait.
Yeah, because you could do that.
Yeah.
Because to not take an action to put them here is very valuable.
Yes.
Since you have so few actions in the game. So,
which we're going to come to soon.
Yeah, and sometimes I saw like, okay, to do the things that I need to do, I need to have 3 there, which means that if I bid 3, I will be happy if I get the card, and I will be happy if they're there.
I absolutely like this mechanism. It's not like it's not new, but it feels kind of different for a blind bidding action. And there's also a couple of different events. Most of them is going to be the policy cards, and you're going to have like a revenue where you're going to get your revenue for the different industries that you have. Like this coal mines, for example, is going to give me 30, and then I'm going to have to pay the people who have bought shares from me 10 of these. Chorus, I think they're called. Chorus. Yes, probably not pronounced like that at all. Then you have a bidding. You go from one bidding to the next. This is the industry bidding, where it's going to be then industries laid out here, 3 of them, and you're going to bid. Do you want to tell us how that works? Because it's super neat.
Yes, it is a 2-round bidding phase.
Never seen that before.
No, I don't think I have.
I haven't, yeah.
That is new to me, which is cool. And you're bidding in like 5s.
Increments of 5s, yeah. 5ers.
And the person who is bidding the most and next to most, what is that? Like almost
second most?
Almost the most.
Almost the most.
Are going to get an industry card, which is really, and the person who bids the most also will be the Tycoon, which grants you good stuff.
And your first place.
Yes, I really like that auction as well, and it has been very, very interesting to watch in our place of it because it could skyrocket, like the prices could be like
150.
Yeah,
And you're done.
Sometimes people are so short on money.
Yeah.
The auction can stop at 45. It's very interesting.
And you kind of mentioned that there's a 2-round auction,
Yeah.
because most of these kind of incremental auctions go around and around until everybody passes. And the cool thing about it being a 2-round auction is obviously the first one is that the second time it's your turn, you have to bid what is your maximum. Like, this is the max I can give, cannot give anything more. The other thing that's really nice, because this is kind of like a catch-up mechanism or a turnover mechanism, because if the first player just continue being first, they will be the first player because they win the auction. But when it's a 2-round auction ending with a person to the right, they can, like, theoretically, the last player can always become the first player,
really
so
like
that you
that as
can
well.
you have a possibility to become first. If you're lost, you can always win the auction.
I felt like the first round of the auction is just positioning.
Yes.
But it's really it would feel very different if it was a 1-round auction. So I really appreciate it. It feels very clever, and it also takes away a lot of time in the game compared to being a round and around and around round auction.
And also, I think this works better in some ways. And as I really think it's clever, the way of taking that, you have that around and around, and you have the 1 round, which we've seen in some games, and you're like, and maybe there has been games with 2 rounds. I don't know. But we have not seen that in a game. And all the people, like if you're playing 4 players, the 2 people who don't win an auction or win an industry card, they're going to get 3 promoters into their strategy pool.
Which is also nice.
And after that, you have like the action phase, and that is kind of where the stuff happens.
Yes.
We're not going to go detailed into all of the actions. We might. Sometimes I say, we're not going to do this.
And then we do it
exactly
either way.
that. So the first thing you can do is that if you have an industry card, you can build that industry out on the map. Do you want to go through how that works?
Yes, I can try.
You are like, no, I don't want to do it, but I will try for the interwebs.
The first thing you do is decide where you want to build.
You have to build on the map.
Yeah, you have to build on a map, not in the sea, but
it's drowning.
Like in a city.
A location, yeah.
And then you will see what resources you have to pay to actually build it.
Let's look at this coal mine again that I have here. And this coal mine needs minerals and transport.
Yes. And then you look at the tracks that you hopefully are going to show us right now. Because both of these you pay to the person who is highest on this track.
That's super cool.
And the first one is depending on how high they are on the track. And the second one, the
transport and the power.
Yes, you actually pay regarding to where you build on the map and which region is active and how many spaces you have to like transport the stuff.
The thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that that makes sense?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yay! That is so clever. And then when you play it, just basically when you play it, you get 4 bonuses. You get the 2 bonuses that are on your card, which might be points or influence points. And also you will get some movement on the tracks. You will also get the bonus that is on the map and the region bonus for the region that you're building in. But let's talk a bit about these tracks, because I like tracks.
Yes.
Do you like tracks?
I like tracks.
We are fans of tracks. But I really like these tracks because you can play it like super high on one track, trying to get like to the super high great bonuses at the top. Some of these have super nice bonuses along the way. But being in the first spot and getting that money can be a big thing. Like, I have done bad, and I've been like super high in energy and transport, and most of the time people will be like, I'm going to spend a bill close as I can to that and give me like 2 coins, yay! But when you go higher on this, and somebody rushes to the top, and now we have to pay them 14 money to build something.
That
and
hurts.
14, as you see, isn't like the biggest when you can bid like 130. But even though you can have quite a lot of money can be tight as well. So I think it is a clever way of using tracks in, not like in a way I haven't seen before, but in a way that makes the tracks more interactive, basically.
Yeah, I felt like the tracks were not a gimme to, like, it was hard to climb on the tracks, especially multiple, but you want to do it because the bonuses far up there are so good.
Yes.
But I feel like you can also have a chance in the game without climbing a lot on those tracks, because you can make it in another way as well.
Yeah, just briefly let's talk about shares, and let's talk about one of the like 2 more things I want to talk about. You might have other things as well, but shares. It's also kind of different. Like in this game, you might have already understood this game is quite different. It has quite a few different things in it. And shares, you buy them from people. Like you have a stack of shares, and I can buy a share from you. I pay you the money. I take the share. And many times it's going to be like, oh, because you have this and this, I'm going to get that revenue. But here I'm just going to get 10. I'm going to get 10 of your money when it's the revenue. But at the end of the game, depending on who have like the most asset value, which is one thing you can have. For example, this coal mine I have here, you might think there's only one industry in the game. There's more. And it has an asset value of 60, for example. So the person who has like the industries with the most asset value is going to be, then their shares are going to be worth 60 in asset value at the end of the game. So I can go heavy for these industries, or I can be like, oh, I'm not going to spend my money on that. I'm going to spend money on other things and go for buying those shares from you so that you can give me those points from the industries that you have in front of you.
It's so interesting because when you have a stock game, normally you have like, okay, I'm buying shares in that company and the company gets money.
Yep.
Or separate from your personal money. Here it's not. You are buying shares with a person, which means that if you're doing well, because I want to get my money's worth at the end of the game, you know. I want to say like, oh, Johannes is building a lot of industries. Okay, let's buy some of his shares. You get my money, and then you can buy more industry. It's really interesting. It's like a kind of a rich get richer, but that is the way the world works. So it kind of makes sense.
And it doesn't break the game. Like it's because it's not the only way to win the game, which we're soon going to talk about. Because the scoring in this game might be the most interesting thing about it, and different from anything I've seen in my life. But before that, let's talk about the strategy actions.
Yes.
So you already said that there's different ways to get your promoters into the strategy pools.
Yes.
So how do you use them? You might ask. I'm going to ask.
Yes,
how do you use them?
I will answer. You can see a lot of strategy actions down here, and you need a different kind of amount of these promoters. I forgot it again. To do the different actions. For example, here we can build without having an industry card. You can take polity cards, get like influence, or go up on tracks, for example. And the way you do that action is pay the
promoters.
You again.
We're so good at finishing each
and
other's.
You place sentences, and you place one of your shares here, which is really interesting. And how many shares you have dictate the price. So the first share cost the other
30,
35, 40. So if you're
Max.
placing a lot of shares here, they get more expensive for other players.
And also, if people buy all your shares, you can't do these
that
actions.
more. That is so interesting.
One thing that's very important that we haven't talked about is how few actions you have in the game.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of said you had few actions.
Yes.
Because every round, you get 2. There are 6 different actions. You want to do like 10 of them. And there's only 2 actions you can do. If you're not the Tycoon, because then you get 3, because you're so cool and you're here to see.
You can get extra actions though.
Yeah, but you're usually paying an action to get that action.
Yeah.
Not if you're building on the board.
You can get them, but they're hard to come by. Usually you do have 2 actions around. We have...
And you can only use 1 action once.
Oh,
so you cannot do the same
have mentioned
action.
3 of the actions already. The build, take shares, and do the strategy. You can also do the politics action that you mentioned earlier. With the politics card, you can get all the bonuses here.
Yes, you get like an income basically from your policy cards.
Which I also mentioned before, you can do a muster action, which basically is put more promoters into your supply.
Promoters.
And you can, the last action you can do is take a loan.
And even the loan is different in this game.
Yes.
Let's get the track back here. Because there's a track for the loan.
That is so cool.
And
I haven't seen that before.
The loans you take, the better the loans are going to be.
Yeah.
And also if you build industries or your place to get the bonuses, you can move up on this track before taking the loan. Because in the beginning it's going to be like, oh, you're going to get 30 coins and you have to pay 50 back. But at the end you're going to get 60 and you're going to have to pay 50 back. So you basically earn money by taking a loan. and there's also like bonuses, and you get some asset value for this, but this is also very different.
Yeah, I really like it. The first round I had like a bonus loan card at the beginning of the game, which made my loans even better. So I took a lot of loans, which sometimes I get like in the beginning of the game, oh, it's loans in the game, I'm gonna take any. But here you can actually go for it.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So yeah, we basically skipped over a thing, so I'm going to go to that, and then we're going to go to the scoring, which is player count and playtime.
Yes.
The box says it's going to be like 1.5 to 3 hours. We only played 4. Like this is one of those games that we got to play 4 a few times with the same group, which was nice, because then really we could see the first time took 3 hours, and then there was like 2.5 hours, something like that, which I thought was a nice time. Like 3 hours might be a bit long, but 2.5 hours perfect.
Yeah.
And the box says 3 hours, and it took 3 hours the first time we played, which is really nice.
Yeah, I'm happy with the playtime. Sometimes I felt like we were waiting a little bit, but that is because some of the choices are quite overwhelming. So for this level of thinkiness in game, I absolutely understand that people, including myself, need some time to think.
Scoring. How do you win this game? This game do not have one kind of point. It doesn't have 2 kind of points.
It doesn't have 3. Yeah,
it does have 3. Yeah. That was. Then you read the script. It's right in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Because all our videos are scripted. There's 3 different ways to get points. Basically, there's 3 different points. You have the influence points, which are tracked around the board here. You have the asset value, which you, for example, get from the industry or for owning shares. And then you have the favor, which is the 3rd kind of point. And how this game works is at the end of the game, if the same person has the most influence and the most asset value, they just win.
Yeah.
And if that isn't the case, then there's basically you have the person who have the most favor, the person who have the most influence, and then you have the favor, which is the last point, as a tiebreaker. So you can't ignore it, but also you want to then try to be the best at both things, or you can try to be super good at one and go heavy into favor so that you will win in that way. So there's basically many different routes to go depending on which kind of points you're going for, and I've never seen that before.
No, it was really cool, and you really have to think about your final scoring and in another way that I've thought of it before.
Yes.
But the thing is that, okay, you say you can go heavy into one kind of point and then have a lot of favor, but a lot of the things that give you points give you like both kind of points.
Yeah.
So it's hard
not all
to...
though, yeah.
No, not at all, but they kind of synergize.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's hard to ignore one part of it.
That's not going to happen.
No. So you
can go heavier into one than the other.
And there are going to be some influence scoring at the end of the game as well that changes up every round, and you're going to have like your own personal favor that you can also go for, do this thing and you will get a lot of favor at the end.
Yeah.
I like that you have some things that aren't open. So for example, the favor, you can somewhat calculate.
Yeah.
If I win the one category and you win the other category, which one of us are going to win? But we have that part. Yeah. Those are really hard. I haven't gotten more than one favor point, and you can get like 12, I think.
Yes, 9
something.
Maybe. Yeah.
They are so hard, at least the ones that I've gotten.
There might have been a few of those that didn't feel like this one might have felt easier than the other.
Yeah, I'm not sure if those are,
I don't know if they're done, basically.
Super hard, but that is nitpicking from my side.
Might have been, we don't know about that. So, let's talk a bit about the weight.
Yeah.
And who is it for? And who might it not be for? This is like a medium heavy game.
I agree.
It's not super heavy, but it's crunchy and kind of long.
Yeah, and it feels very interactive.
Yeah, it is loads of interaction.
A lot of interaction. It feels tight.
Yeah.
But and it feels like sometimes you can't do anything good, but it doesn't feel like punishing in that kind of way.
No,
do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes when you're not winning this industry auction for the 5th round in a row, it feels kind of hopeless.
Yes.
You have to be like you have to earn.
Stay in the game.
Yeah, you have to stay. You have to be in it to win it.
Quote Johannes.
Yes, but you have to spend some to earn some, and this game really encourages encourages like doing these investments in order to get it back later.
Yeah.
It's not a game that you have to be like, oh, but maybe I'm spending too much. Okay, you have to not splurge.
You have to win it.
Yes.
Also important thing to say, you said like interaction, it's not like mean interaction, but there's a lot of like, it feels like many people I read about like looking for the olden days of Euro games where there was loads of interaction and now it's not. This is a lot of interaction. It doesn't have that, oh no, you lost because you did this thing, but it has interaction all the way. Everything you do is important for the other people. You block things, you have the tracks, you have the auctions, you have the map. Everything is interactive. Everybody wants the same things. I think you will like this if you enjoy economic games, because it's an economic game, as you probably know already. I think you will like it if you're looking for games that do something different than the games that you many games we play are good. They're great games, fantastic games, but they don't have that, oh wow, that I haven't seen that done before.
Yeah.
It's basically like, oh, it's this mechanism but with a twist. Here I feel like there's so many layers of things that we haven't seen before. And now we're doing final thoughts and who is for the same time because it's not going to be. It's fine, especially for this preview.
But I agree, it feels like a very layered game. I feel like in the games that we have had of it, I have barely scratched the surface. I have so much more that I need to master. Maybe probably because I lost. But yeah, I feel like you could get better at this, and that is something that I also really like in a game. That it makes me feel stupid at first, and then I can kind of like crack the code. Yes.
I think that obviously, like if you are, it's hard. Like trying to, I don't know if there's anything I don't like. Like I enjoyed everything. We like even the people we played with. They haven't played that many games. They play usually with us, and one of them was like, oh, you have to say that to the designer, like, this is super clever, and they're doing these things because they get kind of engaged in these mechanisms and stuff like that, even though they're not, like, heavy into the hobby. And I just felt that way playing this game, that this is something that I'm looking forward to play it again.
Yeah.
I want a final copy of this game to play again, because there's so many different things done in a economic Euro game. You have to like economic Euro games, basically. If you don't like economic Euro games, if you don't want games that might last like 3 hours at least with 4 players, especially the first time you play it's not going to be for you. But
I think like when you watch this video, you will see like if this is for you or not.
Basically, all the things we said to be liked. If you don't like those things, then there are going to be negatives for you, which are positives for us.
Thank you for saying that, because people would have just bought it
if
you didn't say it like,
I feel like
I hate Johannes' taste in games.
What some people think.
I have to go buy it now.
But this is the end of this video.
Yes.
If you are still here and you enjoy what we do, then you can help us out in a big way by giving us a victory point.
And we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell button to get notifications every time we post a new video.
And that's the end of this video that you've been watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Cinema.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.